back to the Pineapple Party Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Pineapple Party Podcast. My name is Jensen, I'm your host, and today we have a very special guest, Mr. Andre Ong. Andre, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How about you?
I'm amazing, bro. Like I told you right before we started, I'm running on fumes right now, but a cold shower and a little Thailand shirt, and we're running. So, yeah.
Alright.
Do you want to tell the audience about, what you do and your background, whatever you feel comfortable?
Well, as Jensen said, as Jensen said, my name is
Yeah.
Andre.
Yeah.
Cause like there's like two Jensens, there's like Jeremy
Yes.
Jensen and then there's you. So
Yes.
so it's like I'm like, wait, are you Jeremy or Jensen?
I'm
So
I'm
like
the inferior one, unfortunately.
all right. So like as he said, like my name is Andre and I make pop music in general and sometimes I make a bit of EDM, hip hop, R&B, you name it. So
You
yeah,
name it, you got it. That's amazing.
yeah. So like my inspirations are from artists like Keshi, Alec Benjamin, Juice World, Justin Bieber, Lauv, and etc. So like many different genres, many different backgrounds. And then I grew up listening to a lot of these mainstream stuff and then slowly move to listen a bit more of hip hop and then EDM like Zed, Chainsmokers, all that stuff,
Yes.
Yeah, all the good stuff.
The good 2013 stuff.
Yeah, definitely. That,
Yes,
that
sir.
is where most of my inspirations are from.
Right.
Yeah,
So, talking about your inspiration, you named, Lauv, you named Keshi, but even like going to people like Juice World, who, well, rest in peace, but he was known
yeah,
for rap and hip hop music. So it's
yep,
like,
definitely.
yeah. So I can tell that you derive inspiration from all sorts of genres and a wide variety of artists. Is there an advantage to having very different inspirations as opposed to I'm a pop star, I only listen to Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift?
Well, I think because of the versatility I have, I listen to like well, I focus a lot both lyrically and the production, so it kind of gives me an advantage where I understand both sides of the worlds like pop, hip hop, EDM. Like I know how things usually go, like how things are mixed differently between like pop vocals and hip hop vocals because
Right.
they can be quite different. And then like production as well. Like you can like combine the both genres and it will somehow sound amazing, which is also definitely a W.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you mentioned production, right? It's
Yeah,
what you did
production.
tell me before we had this interview was you do music production as well as
Yes.
singer-songwriter and you do mastering and sorry, mixing and mastering as well. So before we get into that though, like let's rewind back to little Andre, right? Like what made you want to pursue music to begin with?
Well, funny story because one day, uh, I remember doing Form 1 when I was 13 years old. So
Hmm.
like it was a really embarrassing moment, but I'm just gonna share it. So like I was kind of mumbling a bit, singing a bit of Khalid. So I was like, yeah, da, 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 da. And then the whole class went silent and I was there singing. And then the teacher asked me, do you want to be a singer when you grow up? And then I actually thought about it at the moment. I was not aware of my whole surroundings. I was like, yeah, I'm actually considering it. And then that's when it all started. Like I'm not even
Right,
kidding. And
right.
but then the teacher told me to pay attention afterwards.
Ah,
But yeah, that's
would you thank that teacher when you get your
oh yeah, definitely,
Grammy award?
definitely.
Yeah, before your parents, before God, just thank that teacher.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But then
Yeah,
I'm guessing from that point onwards, that kind of thought kept, resounding in your mind, and
Yeah.
it became more and more of a passion, right?
Yeah. At first, it was like a small thought, and then slowly it just kept lingering in my mind.
Yeah.
And then slowly started to take action during 2020. That's when I actually wrote my first song called
Right.
Online Classes Suck.
Okay.
Really controversial. There were a lot of drama that happened at the time, but
Oh
then
wow.
like slowly I took music a lot more serious, and here I am right now.
Was the teacher involved in the drama?
Huh? That particular teacher, no, but then like other teachers, like they felt a bit defamed in a way, like a bit.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you get what I mean.
Yeah. So lots of teachers, very impactful to your career.
Yeah, definitely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then, but then for there to, you talk about how it started as you were just mumbling la la la, and then everybody goes quiet, right? And usually
Yeah,
that's
and I
where we panic and like we start, like looking at everyone like, oh my god, am I the only person in this room? But how were you able to stay persistent to let that small seed of interest grow into you wanting to do music now full time, basically?
well, I mean, as I said, it started off like with such a small thought, right? But then slowly, like there are like signs where I suddenly want to take on like singing classes, and then starting to like pay attention to the music I'm listening to a bit more. And then
Right,
it just suddenly just builds up over time, and it's like, damn, I really want to do this.
right.
Yeah, because like I don't think it's like an immediate I don't think it's an immediate thing. It's like it's a thing that happens over time, and it really gets you wondering, and it just drives you every day.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what kept me going. And then like also like another thing I could mention, probably like girls as well play a huge influence in my life,
Mm-hmm.
because like I like
As they
to
always
write
do.
about love stories.
Yep.
It's like fun, you know. And then I
Yeah.
just crush on people here and there, and I'm that guy.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, how did they receive it though? The girls that you did crush on. Did you ever send it to them? Because I've heard stories from other artists who started writing music because they wanted to confess their love or they wanted to approach this girl that they've always thought about. So were you able to ever pass it on to them or inform the girls that, hey, I wrote this song for you?
I mean, yeah, I did, but then like I think most of the time I never got accepted because of the way I talk and stuff. I
Right.
I think that's why, because like I'm a very direct person, and I'm very honest. So like some people don't like that.
Yeah.
I guess that's why.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, I love the way you look, but your nose looks funny, and something like that.
Something like that,
And
man.
the
Something like
love does not get sent back your way. But that's amazing, though. I mean, in a way, it I'm guessing it paved the way to you, and whether it was motivation or whether certain girls served as inspiration for you to write music.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure they played a part in getting you to where you are now, right?
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. And and then obviously at the start as well, you talked about, you're a singer songwriter, you produce music as well, and that's how you were able to kind of, like this is EDM style, this is rap vocals, this is pop vocals, and you do mixing and mastering as well. Do you
Yep.
mind talking to uh, myself and the audience on how the processes differ to each other, and what about each process that you like?
So like the process of mixing different genres of vocals, am I right?
Yeah, let's start with that, and then we'll go into recording. We'll go into producing for different genres as well. And obviously, you have your song "Stay Here Tonight," which is like a pop ballad, kind of slower love
Yeah,
song,
and
right?
yeah,
Whereas,
like yeah.
yeah. So can you take us through? Let's start with mixing and mastering. Then take us through the process of mixing and mastering different types of genres.
All right, so let's talk about mixing, right? So, definitely when you EQ vocals, it can be a bit different because you are aiming for a different tonality for different genres. Maybe for like hip hop vocals, you want to aim for a higher compressed vocal with a sharper tone in the more air in the top end.
Yes.
Whereas EDM can be super like compressed as well, and then like you will also want to crank up that auto tune, man,
Yeah.
and you get that robotic sound to it, and it sounds so satisfying. Whereas like pop vocals, you don't want to tune as much, and then the EQ sometimes you want to go for a bit warmer tone, so like
Right.
you don't sound too brittle, and
Right.
everything feels more chill, or like depending on the pop genre as well, because some types of pop music can be a bit more compressed as well. It really depends on the song, I guess.
Right.
That's one thing. And then for like mastering on like I mean for mastering, what I usually do is I always start with three very basic what do you call 'em? Plugins, yeah.
Plugins. Yeah.
So like definitely I start with the EQ and then the compression and then the limiter, and then I'll see how much I want to compress, and then do I need to add another compressor, and if I do, how much am I gonna compress?
Right.
And then like for because different genres require a different amount of compressions. Like for hip hop, you want things to be super super tight,
Yes.
whereas pop maybe not too much. And then EDM is kind of similar to hip hop in a way where I master, but then like obviously some parts like the volume I gotta tone down because like the synth drop may be a bit too loud or
Yeah.
too soft. Yeah, because everything is very situational, and you it depends on the situation.
Right, and I really love that insight that you provide us. So I really appreciate it. And before we move on, one thing that I just realized as well, and you definitely helped me realize this, so thank you, is I realized that when you talk about okay, hip hop for example, we need the drums to knock, we need the kick to slap, we need the kick to go hard, we need the snare to slap to hit, and then with EDM as well, the four and the floor drums need to go boom, 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 and all the lalata and all the lala girls will go crazy, right? But but then if you look at pop music, like your song, which is a slower kind of love song, you're not compressing it as much. Like, would you say that there is a correlation between how much you would compress a song, um, and the mood that the song brings?
Yeah, definitely a huge correlation, because if the song is slow and it's so compressed, it could really be e- fatiguing to the ear.
Yeah.
It could be like, why is it so mushy? Why is it so tight?
Yeah.
Whereas hip hop, you do need that energy, you do need that compression, so it sounds cleaner. And it
Yes.
also depends on the tempo of the song. So it's definitely very important.
Right. I really appreciate that insight. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. And
Yeah, no problem.
moving on to songwriting.
Ah,
Obviously,
songwriting.
it starts from you have your lyrics, but then you have how you arrange a song as well. Um, what are the differences with writing lyrics for pop music compared to maybe something like hip hop?
Well, lyrically wise, I try to keep it as similar as possible whenever I'm working both on hip hop and my pop tracks. But then, um, well, it really depends on the message, right? So, like, maybe for pop, you want things to be more repetitive, more, uh, you want your audience to capture your words easier, whereas I feel like hip hop, it's so much more storyline based,
Hmm.
where
Okay.
you gotta tell the story better and more articulate, whereas pop, you're just expressing your emotions a bit more. I mean,
Right. Okay.
you express your emotions in a different way. Yeah, you express
Okay.
your emotions in a different way in both genres.
And I do notice that because with pop music, you I think people tend to focus on being catchy with pop music more so than with hip hop, because hip hop,
Definitely.
originally it's rap is rhythm and poetry, right? It's people talk about their lives, their come up, their background, what their parents go through, what their neighborhood is like, all that kind of stuff. And it's always been this very raw, before all the money and drugs came, that kind of stuff. But it's always been like, oh, grinding, making it out of the mud, like that kind of stuff. Whereas I think pop music is always more oriented to love and these situations that really anyone can relate to, whether you are, you know, uh, raised by a single mom and you've been poor your whole life, or whether you have three Rolls Royces. It's something that anyone and everyone can relate to. So yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on, and that's great insight again, man. So I appreciate it. Um, and then
Thanks.
finally, as a producer, because I think this is where
Yeah.
the difference really comes in, because there's such different styles of music. What is your approach to producing maybe something like a pop song, and what is your approach to producing a hip hop track?
Well, producing a pop song can like, it usually has to do with something in my head. Like I'm thinking of this piano melody going on, this vibe that I'm feeling, and I usually start with that, and then I start to layer my usually start with the instrument and the
Mm,
vocals first. That's what I usually start with. Then I slowly build up the song. And
right.
usually when I'm writing a pop song, I already have the lyrics in my head, whereas where I'm making a hip hop song, I usually make the beat first. I usually
Oh,
like
okay.
take a sample and then maybe I already have a melody in my head, but then I don't really have everything yet. So like I would like make the beat first and then I would put my vocals on top after.
Okay, wow. And it's never, and this is like the regular pattern. It's not like sometimes it's
Yeah.
this, sometimes it's that. It's usually for hip hop, you make the beat first. For pop, you already have like lyrics in your head, and you start with just your vocals and a very basic piano, for example.
Yeah. 90% of the time, 90% of the time. Like there
Wow.
are
Okay.
exceptions.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Wow. All right. And then, well, then how would you approach building that pop song though? Like, let's say you already have your vocals. Obviously not the final take, I'm guessing, but let's say you have like a just some voiceover, some voice notes, maybe you put it into your project, and you have your basic chords up, in like a piano, like a grand piano or something like that. And
Yeah.
then is your next step usually to layer it with instruments, or is it um, more so let's do drums? What's your next step from there on? Because I am very fascinated with how people produce pop music coming from a mainly hip hop background, as myself.
Yeah, because like whenever I'm producing pop, right, it could vary in many different ways. Sometimes I start with the piano only. Sometimes I do the piano, then I do the drums. But then like most of the time though, like I would have my vocals harmonized, like that's what I usually do, like mainly the chorus. I will
Yeah.
have the chorus structure and then I would like start to build like maybe a clap, like kind of combine genres, because like most of the time I do combine genres like pop and hip hop, pop and
Yeah.
EDM. So it's very hard to give a
Kind of black and white
hundred
answer.
percent answer.
Yeah.
Like there's no direct answer. I think there are like many answers to this question.
Right.
So
I
like
mean,
yeah,
I
you
mean,
were
yeah.
saying?
To add to your point, I think that's art, right? It's always like there are no rules, and you're blending different genres together and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I respect how many different responsibilities you're juggling, man, and it's like, how do you have any free time? Like you're producing, you're recording, and then obviously you're mixing and mastering as well. And I'm guessing you help your friends mix and master as well.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes I do. Like
Yeah.
there's this guy from Germany called World Sign.
Okay.
Like I am like his main mixer guy. Like he's my good friend, so like I don't really charge yet.
Right. until he until he blows up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's amazing though.
Yeah.
Well then, if that's the situation, if you don't mind, can you tell us how you balance all of these responsibilities? How do you still manage to have a social life? How do you manage to, we were talking about how you go to Sunway University. So how do you
Yeah.
manage university and then a social life and then music? But then even in music, you have production, recording, singing, songwriting, all that kind of stuff, you know?
Well, I have to say it's not that easy. It's actually kind of it's a lot more complicated than I thought because like whenever whenever I have a song and then I have to like do this halfway and then my mom tells me to do something and then I have to go out and then I have to like make sure I have the idea ready so I gotta record the ideas on my phone like because like I'm not finished in my project yet, right?
Yes.
So like one thing is if you have an idea, don't just simply throw it out. Keep it somewhere and then work on it when you have time. So
Right.
like or like one thing though, I do feel like everyone has time. It's just like how you spend it, you know?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
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 definitely
some.
one thing.
Yeah, that's a golden nugget right there. Can you tell us more about that?
So like it's like how desperate you are for that thing.
Hmm.
Like let's say you really want to learn music production, but oh, I have this, I have to study this, I have to do that. And then but then like if you're really that desperate, you can find time as in like maybe sacrifice a bit of sleep or maybe sacrifice a bit of homework time or like your time with your friends.
Yeah.
Like there are things that you have to sacrifice definitely because life is not fair. That's one
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
So it's definitely all about what you prioritize. That's my take.
Right. And it's essentially accept that we can't win in everything, right? You can't you can't spend 24 hours making a song and then you have to go do dishes and take out the trash as well.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
You should tell your mom that next time. I'm trying to make a hit, mom. Um no, but I get your point though, and I think the thing with me is I want to have I think I am delusional enough to a point where I genuinely believe I can have everything. Because for me, I mean, I do music as well. And for me, one of my biggest goals is to find success in music. Because that is really, I truly believe that's my life purpose. Right? And of course,
Yep.
that could change. Maybe one day I wake up and I never want to hear a song ever again. And I decide to go into, I don't know, astrology or whatever. But I want to do music, but now I'm doing this podcast as well. And then I want to do content, but then I also want like I have like business ideas or I think I have business ideas. Maybe like when I do put it out, I'm like, huh, this is actually stupid. I'm gonna lose money. But then I feel like I've genuinely convinced myself that I can get everything. So how do you stay grounded in your belief that we have to make sacrifices? Because I'm sure there'll be times where you have people hyping you up for your music and you think, wow, I can do this. And then you might have another interest that you're like, wow, I can do that as well. How would you approach staying or keeping yourself grounded in reality and understanding that, hey, we actually have limited time, so we have to prioritize?
Well, I guess one thing is definitely my influence by my parents and like a lot of TikTok videos that appear in my For You page that tells me this thing, that thing.
Okay.
So it really got me thinking damn, I really can't do everything at once. I
Yeah.
really have to take it a step at a time. So
Right.
like So like if you like sometimes you don't have to rush things as well. Like you don't have to stress yourself too much. But definitely put in the effort and you'll definitely go somewhere.
Yeah, right. And speaking of, your influence, the influence that your parents have on you, who else would you say, before we even get to the music, in your life generally, who would you say are your biggest influences and inspirations?
Besides music.
Like it could be
Yeah.
music, it could be,
Uh
maybe you look up to how hard your parents work, and that's very general, right? So across all aspects of life, who to you are your biggest influences and inspirations?
I think one thing is I think the very person that gets me here is definitely my dad. Cause like he he's such a hard working man. And it just really gets me going and it's like it inspires me to work harder,
Yeah.
definitely. And then my mom is also like very hardworking as well. She does the chores and then she also goes to work and then she does this work and that work, like pets boarding and then atomy stuff, which
Wow.
is quite inspiring, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really sweet, man. And I think I'm someone that I feel like I can tell you're family oriented if I'm correct.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I feel like I am myself as well. And how do you what role does your family play in, not just your successes, but your your work, your career, your outside life? What role does your family play?
Role? What do you mean by role? Because it could mean a lot of things, right?
Yeah. I'd say something like, well, you talk about how your parents inspire you to work hard, correct?
Yeah, I mean, one thing for sure, my dad always, I mean, not to say nag, but then definitely keeps like, why are you playing game? You should be doing this, doing that.
Yeah.
Or like, get out of the room, go jog or something, get
Yeah.
yourself healthy. And yeah, my dad is definitely a guy who prioritizes health a lot. So he
Right.
really tells me to go out and run. So if you ever see me running, that's because my dad told me to.
Right. There you go. There you go. The
Yeah.
pressure of love. I got you.
Yeah.
So in terms of, life as a whole, your parents play a role in um, what you do outside, taking care of yourself, but also
Yep.
like they show you, to work hard and to understand that time is not limitless, and really prioritize your goals, right?
Yep.
In that
And
case,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
I mean, my father also likes to tell me stories about his life. Like, you know, one very inspirational thing about my dad is he did not grow up in a rich household. He was like really broke. My dad's family at the time
Yeah.
was quite broke, selling chickens. And then when he wanted to go university, my grandfather had to sell a piece of land
Oh
just for
wow.
him to go to US to work hard. And that's when he started, grinding super hard and then like uh work part-time jobs, get higher than a 4.0 CGPA. I remember he told me like he got a 4.5 because of
Damn.
extra credit. I was like
Damn.
I was like what? That was crazy. And at one point I remember uh he got caught, I mean so-called caught cheating, right? Because someone was looking at his paper, uh
Oh.
cheating off his paper, right?
Right.
So he had to redo the test. So like because the professor knows he's really hardworking, and he had to redo the test, and he got a maximum score, which
Wow.
was crazy.
So it's not even his fault.
Definitely. Yeah, it's not even his fault. And yeah,
Damn.
that, that's just really crazy, man.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's phenomenal, man. And who would you say are your influences when it comes to music alone?
Music alone. Well,
Yeah.
one thing's for sure, definitely the artists out there, like as I mentioned, Lau, Juice WRLD, Justin Bieber, Keshi, Alec Benjamin. But then, like, besides these huge role models and stuff, I think one thing's for sure, my friends definitely play a pretty big role because, like, some inspire me to do better, some inspire me to revenge in a way, to like prove them wrong, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, you'll never make it out
Yeah.
of this, and like, you'll never
Yeah.
get the Supra you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, damn, I'm gonna prove you wrong, man. I'm
Yes,
gonna prove
sir.
you
Yes,
wrong.
sir.
Yeah.
You're never gonna make it out the suburbs of Sunway,
Yeah.
man. Right. But I mean, they whether it's positive or negative, they do inspire and they definitely motivate you, right?
Definitely. Yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, now I know that, it's always good to talk about positivity, but to add on to your point, unfortunately, negativity sells, right? There's always drama online and all that.
Yeah.
What is your approach to, let's say someone's like, oh, Andre, like, he's a nice guy, but I don't like his music. How would you approach dealing with that kind of criticism? Um, Maybe it's not hate, because people always say
Mm-hmm.
hate. I think that's very.
Personal taste.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely could be that, but I feel like hate is a very umbrella term, and I think maybe sometimes it's just personal taste. But how do you approach criticism, especially when it's negative?
Well, it really depends, right? Because some is like a constructive criticism, and some is just straight on just not liking your stuff and not being constructive.
Yeah.
So I would take in what they say, and like if there's any value to what they say, and if there isn't any, I'll just like, ignore. But then like if it's something that could potentially help me, I would like think about it and like how can I improve from here.
Right. And then have there been any instances where someone did give you that hate that you would ignore?
I mean, definitely I'm pretty hated, I guess, because like
Damn.
I
Okay.
I've been through a lot of drama and stuff in the past.
Okay.
Well, I try to minimize as much as possible, but then like last time I'm like that childish guy that doesn't want to back off, and I will like argue a lot and like
Right.
try to stand up for myself, but then some fights are not worth fighting.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. It really takes time to understand this because like
Mm.
back then I'm like, but he's attacking me. I have to fight back, you know?
Yeah.
But sometimes
Yeah.
you could just walk away.
Yeah. So back then you were like, I don't care, I will die for this, like, yeah.
Exactly.
Cuz I've heard stories as well is I think I used to be pretty similar, as in, for me, if you argued and if you said something like mint chocolate chip ice cream tastes like toothpaste, I would have fought you over it. But I've heard stories as well where people will argue for like half an hour to an hour straight about the smallest things, and then even if they were right or if they were proven wrong, which is even more embarrassing, they realize actually, like, what the hell are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
you know. So what would you say prompted you to make that change or adjustment to where you're like, actually, I don't really care. I'll just move on.
Because like I do a lot of self self reflection as I am a person who overthinks a lot. I usually when there's something big that happens, I would usually repeat that scenario in my head for like weeks or maybe even months, and it really just gets me thinking like, what did I do wrong here? How can I make this scenario better, and how can I improve from this, right? So
Right.
it's like it's not good to overthink, but I think it's good to self-reflect.
Right. Right. And when you do self-reflect, do you think music helps you play a role in well, do you think music plays a role in helping you self-reflect or meditate or whatever that you do?
well, music definitely plays a huge role in like reflection and definitely like progress, right?
Mm.
Because first things first, like your experiences, you write about your experiences.
Yes.
And like music is just one way of talking about those experiences. And then you look back at those songs and think back at those memories and like, hey, it wasn't so bad after all.
Yeah.
Like, like some fights are really just not worth fighting and like, yeah, I'm better now and I'm improving every day. And
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
And I'm getting hella streams from this. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Um, okay, that's
Yeah.
phenomenal. And I think I myself, I'm someone who overthink a lot as well, and I find that music helps because, like you said, it's a form of reflection. It's one way to express yourself. Do you have any other tips, or is there anything that you do besides just reflection that helps you regulate, the overthinking and the worrying?
I mean, sometimes I just, if I'm really stressed out that day, I would personally do a lot of push ups. Because, like, I don't know, I just like doing push ups. It's like, it makes me tired, but
Yes.
then it also makes me feel productive in the same time. It's like, I use this negative energy to get me forward in some way.
Right.
Like, not everything has to be like, music. Sometimes your health is important too, your
Yeah.
studies are important too, or like your friends are like they're friends that you have to prioritize a bit, because like I don't think all friendships last forever, so some you have to maintain, but I think for the most part, n- you don't have to be so tough on yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one thing for sure.
It's actually learning to be okay with things not always going as planned, or you know
Yep,
that kind of
yep,
stuff. Right.
exactly.
And you obviously talked about understanding that, of course, music is not the only thing in the world.
Yep.
Otherwise I think we'll all starve to death. But there's
Yep.
also, like your friendships and your studies and all that. Can you tell us how you approach balancing all of these things that I'm sure is very important to you?
I think one thing is that I try not to be so stressed out because I see a lot of people like their hair being so fuzzy and like you could tell that they're very very stressed out
Yeah.
like whenever they go to class and stuff like just calm down a bit. Yes, there is stress, but then like um you know try to be as calm as possible and think properly and do things properly and
Right.
organize. Like, what are you gonna do first? Like, are you gonna study first and how for how long? And then what am I gonna do after? Am I gonna like chill and like maybe play games to release stress, or am I gonna work on music because I have this idea that's in my head for so long? Like, I'll try to like organize it down, even though I'm like not the most organized person. I will like write it in my notes, like Apple Notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Right.
what I usually do.
Right. And it's like, okay, I can play video games to de-stress, but if I get this music idea that I've been procrastinating for the past 3 weeks, I can also kind of de-stress in a way. So you're always weighing your options because you have so many options, right? Do you go out with your friends? Do you study? Do you work on this new song? Do you play games? So your solution, of course, is never fixed, but what you like to do is kind of weigh out, okay, which one is better, which one's more productive for this moment.
Yep, exactly.
Right. And speaking of the frizzy hair, I can see my gray hairs are coming out, man. I'm only 21. This stress thing is killing me. So yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that's really good advice. I really like that as well. Um,
thanks.
and I mean, yeah, I really appreciate your time and thank you very much.
Thank
Um,
you, man.
is there anything you want to talk to us about? Any new songs? Anything you want to tease?
Oh, actually, I might have a album coming out the next Valentine's. I mean, this Valentine's, I mean.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so stay tuned. And when is our next track gonna, when are we gonna work on our next track or
Oh,
our first
bro,
track?
I am super down, man. Yeah, we can
Hit me
definitely
up,
get
man.
something
Hit me up.
for sure, for sure. I'll shoot you a message after we finish this recording. But tell us about the album dropping on Valentine's Day. I'm guessing that's for a reason.
Yeah, yeah, cause this album, right? They're actually remasters from like my old album 2 years ago, but I took it down because of some drama stuff going on, and then I also wanted to make my quality better in general.
Right.
I felt like that album had quite a lot of potential, so I remastered that album, properly mixed everything, and re-recorded most tracks,
Right.
and yeah, it's ready right now.
Oh, you actually
And
had all your stems from back then.
yeah, 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 because I don't delete my stuff. I try not to delete
Yeah.
unless I'm like really running out of storage, and I will like delete some, and then like you know.
Bro, I disagree. I think you're organized, man. I can't find my old stuff. No, and the thing is, like, when you switch from hard drive to new laptop to USB to all that stuff,
um.
like some MP3s and certain sounds get lost in the process. So
Oh
if I go
yeah.
back to my stuff from like when I was in high school, there would be like drums laid out, but the main melody, this giant chunk is just missing.
Oh damn, that's
Yeah, or
sad.
like I can't find the vocals. So like there are
Oh,
like songs that I want to work on in the past that I really can't because they're gone. They're nowhere to be found.
damn, that's actually kind of sad because like my songs mean a lot to me. They're like sentimental
Yeah,
value. Yeah.
yeah. It's like deleting. It's like losing your childhood pictures.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's what
yeah.
it's
It's like
like.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to push, but if you are comfortable, can you maybe talk to us about how you know the drama that you did go through? How did it influence um, your current songs, or maybe the album that you took down and now you've obviously remastered? So what happened and how did it influence or bring about you writing and creating this project? And you don't have to name names. Just do whatever
Yeah.
you feel is comfortable.
Yep. Well, like what happened at the time? It was like because there were mixed reviews on the album, definitely. That's one thing. Like, and I also definitely thought that my album could be better in terms of quality because at the time it was like 2021. I was like barely 1 year into like music production
Yeah.
and mixing and mastering, and my mastering was pretty ass. It wasn't good. So like things sounded super compressed or like just didn't sound right. And then like there was also like because like there was this song that I wrote for a girl, and then like the girl kinda, I mean, like we talked a bit, and then slowly the energy kind of like died out, and
Yeah.
then she dated this other guy, and then there were like some drama stuff going on that I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
because it's kind of ugly. So like I'm like damn, I just didn't want that to influence on me. So like I took that album down immediately, and
Right.
yeah, because I was scared at the time. And also I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time who also hates the album.
Right.
So
Right.
like I also took it down. Like, maybe it's better if I took it down now and maybe re-release in the future. And yeah, and I guess it was a pretty good idea to do so.
Right. And now that we're in 2024, do you think that was it because you're now able to detach yourself from the
The old songs, right?
situation, yeah, that surrounded the
Yeah.
album at the time, and now it's just
Yeah.
a song itself.
Yeah, and those songs actually meant quite a lot to me, like most of the songs in the album, because like there were so many memories and there were so many things that I've been through and the stuff I talk about in the songs, and like they all have like sentimental value
Yeah.
on each track, and they just mean a lot to me personally, and I think they're good tracks in general, like most of
Right.
it.
And you telling me this prompted me to ask, to really want to ask you, how do you draw the line between this is art and oh, this might hurt someone's feelings? Because art is something that really means a lot to you. Like you said, your old album, has always been sentimental to you. But
Yeah.
certain people at the time found it offensive. So how do you draw that line between, oh, this song is offensive, I'll take it down, or no, this needs to stay up because this is my voice. I want to share it with the people. They have to hear it.
I mean, it wasn't my that album just I it wasn't offensive in a way because like that's a love song album, right?
Yes.
So like, but then like, of course, some people did not like the song, which is normal because like people have their own taste and music is very subjective.
Yes, sir.
And but then at the time, I did know that my voice was changing, and I did feel like over time I do record my takes a lot better.
Yeah.
And like, even though they like mean a lot to me, but because they mean a lot to me, I want to make the album the best it possibly can.
Yes.
Yeah,
Also,
that's
your choice to take it down was more, I can do it better, I want to do it again.
yes.
It wasn't really influenced by, oh, certain people hate this, I'm, worried, I want to take it
At
down.
the time, maybe because like at the time I was a bit down. I wouldn't want to use the word depression or anything, but I was just wasn't feeling the best at the time, and like I was receiving these comments, and then I also have like just people hating in general.
Yeah. Well, can
But
you
then
tell
like
me?
there are also like supporters and stuff that made me wanna remaster the album as well.
Hell yeah, man. And I can't
Yeah.
wait to hear it as well. Um, but what made you, like, what changed for you that made you want to go, you know what? Maybe those people still hate it, but I don't care. Like, this is my music. I want to do it. I want to put it out.
Well, I think the I think my supporters really do get me out there because like if it wasn't for the positivity, like it would be hard to like prove them wrong and stuff when you're like feeling down, you know?
Yeah.
It's like it really takes a few supportive people to like push you out there.
Yeah.
That's definitely something to take note of. So like if you know someone who is feeling down or anything, try to like, give them motivation,
Yeah.
support them. Yeah, that's my take.
Yeah. And the comedian Michael Dapo actually said, all it takes is one person. You just need that one person to show you support, and that's it. And
Yep.
I'm so happy to hear that you got your fans, you got your supporters who are cheering you on, um, and then hell, I'm here to cheer you on too, brother. Like,
Thank you, man.
yeah, so it's amazing, man. It's amazing. And before we close off this wonderful episode of the podcast, is there anything that you want to add on besides you got your album coming, Valentine's this year. So
Hmm.
y'all watching this episode, go tune in when Valentine's Day rolls around. Play it to your loved ones. I'm sure they will love you guys even more after that. But is there anything else that you want to add before we close off?
Well, I just hope everyone has a good day, and like if you're feeling down or anything, just calm down and focus and keep the grind up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Never stop the grind. Never
Never
stop
stop
the
the
grind.
grind. Exactly.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be dropping Andre's socials down on the description as well. Please go check him out on Instagram, Spotify, and wherever you stream your music. He's got an album that I'm sure is very exciting coming out this Valentine's Day. So tune in, send it to your mom, your girlfriend, whatever it is, your wife. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. And again, guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, please drop a like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. This is the Pineapple Party Podcast. Yeah, thank you for tuning in, guys.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you for having me, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.